Good Monday evening. Welcome back to the LTL podcast. It is July 17, 2023. I want to welcome everybody coming in. And like I said, this is episode 25, a little bit out of order because I had planned to be doing this one a while ago, but I wanted to get through the Grant Amato trial. I think I'm going to dedicate Monday nights to actually doing this trial. It's going to take quite a long time. There are 40 videos. So if you are locked and loaded on any interest in this trial and watching it, I would say come here for Monday nights. We'll do a little off Idaho stuff and, just kind of get away from that on Monday nights. And I plan on starting to pick up some streams on the Long Island serial killer as well. So I'm probably going to be bouncing back between those Idaho and the Long Island serial killer because those seem to be, the two cases that are captivating the audiences right now. And also, I'm probably going to start doing, if there's any more update in the JonBenet Ramsey case as well. I'll probably do some streams on that as new information comes in. So we'll be following that as well. First thing I want to do before I get into the heart of the show, and I just lost the membership, but I wanted to welcome back Ari Reza to the membership group. And Ari is someone that I'm sorry, Ali. I'm thinking Ari because we were all friends on the panel. But going back to my watch streaming days when I talked watches, when I first was doing this channel, I was doing a lot of wristwatch talk because I was in that business. But Ali was someone that I used to join on a neighboring channel, and we used to do a lot of watch talk over there. I popped into the chat the other night, and I was just kind of chatting with those guys again. I haven't seen them. Gosh, I haven't been on panel with them in probably close to almost 2 years, or maybe about a year and a half. And it was just really nice to drop in their chat and see all the new faces that were on that panel. And he actually re-upped his membership here today. So I wanted to do a shout out to him. I miss talking to all those guys. I got to make it over there and just hang out on the panel. We had so much fun back in the day. And if anybody in the room likes watch content, go over and check out, I think it's, I don't know what the heck his name of his channel is. JJ's Watch Hangout, because it used to be JJ's Gentleman's Hangout. It's either or. I forget. JJ's changed his name a couple times, so you can check out JJ's Watch Hangout or JJ's Gentleman's Hangout, and they do watch. If you like wristwatch content, they have some of the best conversations over there. I definitely would go check them out. So before we get into the opening statements for the prosecution, and I hope that I can get to the defense's opening statement this evening too, I wanted to kind of address something because we're getting a lot of new people that are coming into the channel, a lot of new subscribers, a lot of new people that come into the live chat and hang out. And I wanted to talk a little bit about my panel members that come on and the people that I allow on this panel. So I do a lot of vetting, and I don't just have anybody on my panel. And I've recently had someone that's come onto the panel, I guess, that has, I would say, not controversy, but I think people are 50-50 split on this particular person. And the person I'm talking about is Detective John. Okay. First and foremost, I want to just put this out there. I completely, absolutely respect T-Rev 1000%. He's killing it over there on his channel. He's like 40, close to 40,000 subscribers. I pop into his chat every now and then. I'll show him some support, throw him a super chat. He's got his, what I call his YouTube shtick. He's really great at it, does his phone, takes his phone calls and has whoever, he has on his panel. I don't watch his show that much, but I ultimately want to say that I completely respect him. So I want to get that out there first. As I know, and what I'm learning, knowing more about Detective John and getting to know him, more on a little bit of a personal level behind the scenes, I guess there was a friendship with him and T-Rev. Okay. I know nothing about what happened between that friendship or that relationship. All that I know was Detective John was on T-Rev's show at some point and decided to leave, part ways. I guess they had a mutual parting. That's my understanding of it. I've been lately getting some comments about, oh, well, Detective John's on the panel, so I'll come back when he's not here anymore. Or I'm seeing in the comments, oh, Detective John is here, I'm not going to watch anymore. Well, you know, the thing that I have to say is, one, I don't know what happened over on T-Rev's channel. I can be completely transparent about that. Okay. And as far as DJ, what I call him, is he has been, to me, and what I've seen so far, having him on my panel, talking to him, basically, he's the same person that I've gotten to know on this panel and behind the scenes in phone conversations that I've had. He's been very respectful to me. He hasn't, you know, done anything like off candor on my channel. And I have no issues. That's why I choose to have him on my panel. And I enjoy his expertise when he can jump in and tell us a little bit more, because it's coming from, you know, someone that was on the force, their perspective, from a police officer's perspective. And, you know, I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. So, you know, I'm seeing comments like, oh, well, he ruined T-Rev's show. I have to say no, because every time I go over, I haven't seen T-Rev skip a beat at all. I mean, he's killing it. He gets 700 to 1,000 people in his lives. I wish I could bring that out on a regular basis. Every night I have a chance to peek in over there. He's over 700 to 1,000 people watching. He's got a great show. And I don't know if there was a falling out or a parting or whatever what happened over there. That happened on that channel. And all I say is this: let's give him a chance. Okay, let's give him a chance on this channel. If he decides to do his YouTube channel, then let's give him a chance. I think what I see in DJ is, I think that people get upset that he might give it back a little bit. And I do too. I snap sometimes and give it right back to people. And, you know, it's just, you know, maybe it's just the way he is. That's how he addresses things. But as far as him being on my panel the last couple of times, he's been very respectful to me. He's been very respectful to my guests. He's been very respectful inside the comments and the live chats. So again, I only ask you to maybe, you know, just open up your minds a little bit more, maybe open your hearts a little bit more. Again, I don't know what went on over there. That's not my business. This is my business. This channel is my business. And I will have the people on my panel that I will have. And if there becomes an issue with some of my panel, I will just ask them to not be on anymore. I won't let them on. So let's push forward. I'm tired of explaining myself. It's my channel. I will ultimately make the decisions here, what is best for the LTL podcast. If I feel that it's not the best thing, then I will have a conversation with a particular panel that I have on my guest. And I mean, a guest that panel that I have on my guest, a guest that I have on my panel, and just say, look, either things need to change or I'm just not going to let you on anymore. As far as creative direction, I control that. I control the creative direction here. So again, I'm really getting tired of kind of going over this stuff over and over again. It kind of disrupts the show. I know that you all don't want to hear this all the time. So let's just put this past us. I've explained it. I'm not going to explain it anymore. I will ultimately control what happens on my channel. If I have a problem with a guest, I just won't ask them to come on anymore. So that's going to be it. We'll move forward with the show, and let's get into the Grant Amato opening statement. So if anybody has been watching any of the streams, I did kind of a brush up on this case before, and Grant Amato has been basically accused of stealing about almost $200,000 from his family to use to pay to donate to this webcam girl that he had which he thought he had a relationship with. And ultimately, when they tried to cut off that relationship, Grant got pissed and, well, now we know, has been convicted of killing his mother, father, and his younger brother. So let's watch the opening statement here in the trial of Grant Amato. Again, I'm going to do these on Monday nights. We'll do this trial. If you all want to come over, you have interest, everybody is free to come and go. All right. So without further ado, let's get into this.
State, do you wish to make an opening statement at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I'm going to need the overhead.
All right, the court deputy will set it up for you.
Thank you. And does the court have the laser pointer?
The laser pointer would be, I believe, with the clerk.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah. It's a lot of work. This is a lot of work.
This is 2112 Sultan Sar.
Oh no, what happened? Aliens. The aliens.
As you can see, it's a nice house. It's a big house, and it's on a lot of property. There are over 20 windows in that
That
house.
was great.
None of them are broken. None of them have any pry marks on them
Oh no, we're gonna hear the court
or
reporter.
show any signs of any type of forced entry.
Oh no, she's really loud.
There are 5 doors
Here we go. We fixed it a
to
little
that
bit.
house.
What a beautiful house.
None of them have any broken locks or latches,
Aliens. Howard the
any
Duck.
broken or smashed door frames, nor any sign of a forced entry. Inside the house, there are several televisions, several expensive gaming systems, sound systems, valuable computers, 3 safes, and other valuable items, including jewelry. Nothing was taken nor missing from the house. No signs of any type of home invasion, burglary, nor robbery. Inside
Packing?
that
Where are you
house,
going?
depicted in that photograph,
Going away?
are the dead bodies of Margaret Amato, Chad Amato, and Cody Amato, each shot through the head execution style.
Just play this response right here. So Detective John says, thank you, man. I chose to part ways because unlike you, he did not support my desire to start my own show, even after he announced he would. If I wanted to, there's so much more, but I'll digress. Yep, that's your business between you and T-Rev. Again, I respect him. I respect both of you all. You know, we'll kind of leave it at that. And again, you know, I'm ready to move on. If DJ wants to come hang out on my panel, he's welcome. I have no problem with that. And again, you know, I choose the guest to be on the show. If there's an issue with a particular guest between me and that guest, if I see something that I don't like and we can't, you know, hash it over, then they just won't be asked to use on the panel, come on the panel, or maybe we, you know, part ways for a little bit and give it a rest or something. So that's what we're going to do. Again, I don't want to keep addressing this because it's getting kind of annoying at this point. And it's my channel. I'll just do what I want to do at this point. What's best for Let's Talk Live podcast. All right, let's get into this trial.
Margaret Amato. This thing is not working. Margaret Amato, as you can see, she's sitting in a chair. She's slumped over at her computer desk in front of her computer with her face down on her keyboard. Margaret was the defendant's mother. Chad Amato, as you can see right there, there's Margaret. Chad Amato is laying on his back.
So you're seeing the crime scene photos. Obviously, they're not going to show that, but that's what, you know, they're probably viewing in court.
Face up in the kitchen
Yeah, it's a
Chad
5-head,
was
bro.
the
5-head,
defendant's,
bro.
Grant Amato's father. A good way to memorize or to connect the two is Chad is dad. Chad is Grant Amato's father. Was Chad Grant Amato's father.
Oh, by the way, we
Cody
hit 7,800 today. 7,800 subscribers.
on the top there
2,200 away.
is laying on his side in a fetal position at the threshold of the door of the house that connects the house part to the garage. Cody was the defendant's brother. Through the examination of Margaret's computer, e-pass toll records, surveillance video, phone records, witness testimony, a reliable timeline will be presented to you as to when each victim was shot in the head. Margaret was the first one to die. She was sitting at her computer desk, when she was shot in the left back side
Christine.
of the head with the bullet coming out her right cheek. The last human activity that took place on that computer occurred at 4:44 p.m. At 4 p.m., a call was made from the landline at the home, at that house, to a conference call service. 4 p.m., the time of that teleconference call, and 4:44 p.m., the time of the last human activity on that computer, took place before Chad and Cody arrived home from work. You'll see from the e-pass toll records for Chad and Cody, from the work time records for Chad, or surveillance video for Chad, and also witness testimony for Cody, that Margaret was shot and she was dead at her computer desk the late afternoon of January 24th, 2019, before Chad and Cody arrived home.
Oh, Christine, we got a long way to go. There's 42 videos in this series. So we're going to do this trial. It's a commitment to everybody. What I ask all of you, if you're interested in this, Monday nights, I'll commit to doing this trial. If you are all interested, let me know. Type a 1 in that chat. Let me know. If you want to do this on Mondays, I'll do Monday nights. We'll do the Grant Amato trial. It's a long trial. It's going to be 42 videos, so we're going to stretch it out. You know, maybe I'll do some midweek streams too, but we'll get through it. I don't mind doing it. All right, let's play.
Chad was the second one to die. He was shot once behind his right ear in the back of his head as he was standing in the kitchen shortly after he gets home from work.
I will say this too. I didn't do the juror instructions. I just felt like it was, 20 minutes of unnecessary. I just wanted to get to the opening statement.
That first shot, Chad was shot twice in the head. That first shot occurs approximately 5:25, 5:30 that evening. Chad falls down after the first shot gets him behind the ear and literally goes through the side of his head. He falls down. He crawls around the kitchen counter to where he shot a second time in the back of his head, execution style. How do we know this? Once again, I'm referring to Chad now. How do we know this? or a combination of evidence that's going to be presented to you. Chad's iPhone almost exactly shows what Chad was doing when he left work until the time that he arrived at home, which includes how many steps he took when he got home and walked into the house.
This is important. So these are things that you're going to hear in the Idaho case. This is all like cast information. So this is very important.
He had one of those applications.
Murdaugh trial, same thing. Steps.
When he took those steps and the number of those steps that he
pings.
took. Chad's e-pass records show him going through the Dean Road Toll Plaza, eastbound on the road, Highway 408, at 5:02 p.m. on his way home. His e-pass records. The crime scene photos that you're going to see shows a smearing of blood from where Chad was first shot to where he crawled around the kitchen counter and where he was shot a second time in the back of the head.
Jesus Christ.
The bullets were recovered, and you'll see that the first shot was recovered from an upper kitchen cabinet where Chad was standing when he was first struck. The second bullet strikes Chad in the back of the head as he's face down, goes through his head, and strikes the kitchen tile.
Cold and callous person.
Chad's lunch box or bag or container, you'll see photographs of it,
Yeah, you staged the crime scene. And he staged
which
it
is
pretty bad.
lying on the kitchen floor, right next to Chad right next to the kitchen counter, is the location where he was first shot behind the ear.
No, we're live. Yeah, I had this planned.
And you'll see
A
Chad
little out of order. Yeah.
wearing the same clothing, laying dead on the kitchen floor with that lunchbox nearby as he was wearing when he left work at approximately 4:30 that afternoon. From that surveillance video that I expect you're going to see with that same lunchbox or container that he was carrying. Now, in a few moments, I'm going to talk about the evidence concerning the activity on Chad's phone. Activity that occurred
Yep.
both while Chad was still alive,
Ugh.
by Chad, and activity that occurred on Chad's phone after he was dead by the defendant. Cody was the third and the last one to die. On January 24th, 2019, Cody leaves work at approximately 9:15 that evening. Cody worked at ORMC as a nurse anesthetist. You'll hear the testimony of a friend of Cody, a co-worker also, Christopher Cisco, co-worker and friend of Cody, that Cody left work that evening at approximately 9:15 on January 24th. Cody's e-pass toll records show him going through the Dean Road Toll Plaza eastbound on the way home
Keep all this in mind.
on the Highway 408 at 9:36 p.m. Moments later, Cody arrives home. He parks his vehicle under a makeshift kind of like carport, tents that are on the property, and I expect you'll see photographs of this, tents that are on the property that kind of serve as a makeshift carport. There's also a garage that has two cars in it, but Cody parks under that tent that's near the house. He gets out of his car. He enters the house through the garage, enters the threshold of the door that connects that garage to the house, as depicted in that diagram on the top there. And as he enters the threshold, he's shot once in the face immediately below his right eye.
Jesus.
The bullet going right through his head and out the back of his head. The bullet's going from front to back, from his right to left, and slightly downward. And Cody is found in a fetal position at the threshold of that door. And you'll just see photographs of all this. But the way the bodies of Chad and Cody, the way they were found by the police
Staged.
the morning of Friday, January 25th, and as depicted in those crime scene photographs, the scene photographs that I expect you're going to see, is not the way the bodies were positioned
Fake tears.
immediately after Grant Amato shot and killed them on January 24th, 2019. What the defendant did in this case is he staged a murder-suicide scene. And in order to do that, he planted certain items of evidence at the scene to give the appearance of a murder-suicide. I'm going to talk about that, of course, in a few moments. But what I first want to do is I want to explain to you the background regarding how the bodies of Margaret, Chad, and Cody were discovered by the police. Chris Cisco, as I mentioned a few moments ago, is Cody's co-worker and a friend. He got concerned when Cody did not show up for work the morning of Friday, January 25th. Cody was very punctual, always on time for work, and he never missed work. So what Chris Cisco did was, being concerned, he called the police and he expressed his concerns. And he asked that a well-being check be done on Cody's home. And the Seminole County Sheriff's Office did, in fact, go to 2112 Sultan Circle and do a well-being check. Deputies Todd Moterson with the Sheriff's Office and Brent Matre, they went to the house. And after being unable to make any contact with anybody inside the house, they received permission to enter the house and did, in fact, enter the house. Upon entering the house, they discovered the dead bodies of Margaret, Chad, and Cody. Originally, you'll see that they thought that Chad was the defendant in this case. They thought that Chad was Grant Amato. But in fact, it was Chad Amato. He's, once again, Chad, the dad, he's the one who was the victim, who was lying in the kitchen. But at first, they thought that Chad was Grant Amato. You'll hear the testimony of Todd Moterson. You'll see his body camera video as they entered and discovered the bodies of Margaret, Chad, and Cody. And you'll see the photographs of the scene and the bodies as they were first found or discovered by deputies Moterson and Matre.
Mind you live in
So that's the background
New
of
Hampshire.
how the bodies were discovered. There were three items of evidence that the defendant, Grant Amato, planted to make it appear that Cody killed his mother and father and then killed himself. What he did was,
You want to hear a quick
he
story?
placed a handgun near Cody's body and 4 shell casings in the vicinity of each body to correspond to the number of wounds. Remember, there are 2 gunshot wounds to Chad and 1 each to the heads
You want to hear a quick
of
story?
Margaret and Cody. He also placed a holster with a gun on it on Chad's right hip, underneath Chad's belt, to make it appear that there was some kind of confrontation between Cody and Chad that required Chad
All right.
to arm himself.
All right, let me pause this really quick. I'm sorry. Let me just tell this quick story because New Hampshire always rings in my head. Probably 1988, 1989. So I would have been 10 or 11 years old. My mom, we were living in Massachusetts. My mom met someone through someone, and he lived up in Montpelier, Vermont. So, you know, we would spend the week down here in Massachusetts, go up on like a Friday night or a very early Saturday, go up and spend Saturday into Sunday, and then come back down. So something happened, and we ended up leaving very early on that Sunday. It's like 88 or 89. We're driving back through, we just got through Vermont. We come over the border, White River Junction, and I believe it's Lebanon, New Hampshire. It's probably still there. There's a little general store like right off the highway. You can get stuff there. But we were just before Lebanon, probably like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. And we come up upon this blazer. We're going south. We come upon this blazer just past one of the exits. It wasn't quite Lebanon. We were about an exit away from Lebanon. So we come across this blazer that had flipped, clothes everywhere, luggage everywhere. And my mom and I are the first on the scene of the accident. It looked like the accident probably just happened. And we get there, and my mom she's not a registered nurse, but she was like a patient care liaison. So she spent many, many years in the emergency room. So, you know, she has some basic skills. So we come up upon the wreck, and we get out, and it was a couple, a young couple, and she was thrown from the blazer, and he was trapped under the blazer. And I remember getting there and my mom running over first. And I mean, this is the days, there's no cell phones. So you're fucking relying on someone driving by and you're flagging them down, or someone coming up on this accident kind of like we did. So I remember my mom screaming, "Do not come over here," because she was in pretty bad shape, and he was bad. And I remember my mom saying, like, "Get a blanket from the car." We always we had like an emergency kit in our back trunk. So she said, "Get the blanket." So I grabbed the blanket, ran it over to her, and she said, "Get their stuff." So I remember just grabbing their clothes and trying to get it together in this pile, like in the suitcase. And finally, someone had come along maybe 10 minutes later, maybe the first car that was on the highway. There's fucking no one out. It's like Sunday morning. And we flagged someone down, and they went up and called help. And she kept saying, there was a car that cut us off. There was a car that cut us off. Now, I remember looking, there were no skid marks. There was nothing. It was just like they went off the road and flipped. And, you know, that wreck was always a mystery to me. But ultimately, when we left and got home, I think like a couple days later, my mom had checked the newspaper, and come to find out the guy didn't make it. And they were just married. They were literally just coming back from like a honeymoon getaway, and he passed. He didn't make it. And it was really sad. I felt really bad, but that's crazy. This wild stories. I get tons of them. I have a lot of wild stories. All right, we'll get back to the trial.
I'm now going to explain to you the evidence that will show that these items are planted. And in conjunction with the other evidence in this case, that I'll talk about in a few moments, that it was the defendant who planted these items of evidence. 4 shell casings. The 4 shell casings that were found in the house match the gun that was found near Cody. Those shell casings were ejected from that gun. So it would appear, obviously, that that was the gun that Cody used to kill his mother, kill his father, and then kill himself. Or so it would appear. That's what Grant Amato would like it to appear. But it's wrong. And the reason why we know it's wrong is because of this. The 4 bullets, once again, distinguish the shell casings from the bullets, the projectiles. The 4 bullets that killed Margaret, Chad, and Cody, and found and recovered at the scene, were not fired from that gun. They were not fired from the gun that was near Cody.
I don't know what's going on. My chat is not like playing behind the scenes here. I don't know, something's going on. Maybe it's jammed or an error, but I can see the chat up here. I can't pull your chat up. The last chat that I could pull up is this one, but I don't know what's going on right now. It's just kind of stuck. Maybe it will work itself out. But yeah, I mean, we can do story time stream. I think what I'm going to do is when we hit 10,000, when I hit 10,000, I'm going to re-release that stream about my best friend passing away in 94. I'm going to re-upload
The gun that killed the defendant's family has never been found. A FDLE, a Florida Department of Law Enforcement expert, Richard Ruth, will tell you, he's going to testify in this case, obviously, that the 4 shell casings that were found in the house were in fact ejected from the gun found near Cody, but the bullets that were recovered that killed the victims were not fired from that gun.
I don't remember, Detective John.
The gun that was found near Cody was excluded as firing those 4 bullets that killed Margaret, Chad, and Cody. Those 4 shell casings were planted there. They were put there. Those 4 shell casings are not part of the bullet. By no means an expert. You will hear the testimony of an expert, but you have the bullet, you have the shell casings, and you have the projectile. The shell casings did not match, were not part of the same bullet. Those bullets are going to be excluded as having been fired from the gun found near Cody. They were planted there, they were put there. The third item that was planted, in addition to the gun found near Cody and the 4 shell casings.
So real quick, I want to answer Detective John's question here. It says, investigators, this is the Grant Amato trial expert, 3 guns recovered from Seminole County home, none used in the killings of Grant Amato. Investigators said 3 guns were recovered from the Amato family home after 3 members of the family were killed in January, but an expert testified Tuesday that he did not believe any of those guns were used in the killings. FDLE firearms expert Richard Ruth testified Tuesday that after testing the 3 handguns found at the home, he determined that the bullets that killed Margaret, Chad, and Cody did not come from any of the guns recovered at the home. His testimony was part of the 12-day trial of Grant Amato, who was accused of killing his parents, Margaret, Chad, and his brother, Cody. Medical examiner later testified that Chad and Margaret were shot at close range and Cody was shot at a distance. Let's see. 2 weeks later, before Turbin said he did not notice the gun was missing until months later. Amato's attorney asked for acquittal at one point after a gunshot residue expert testified that residue was found on black leather gloves found in a bag in Grant's hotel room the day of the murders. The judge ultimately denied the motion to acquit. Huh. So that's a little there. I don't know. My chat is not working here, so I can't pull any of the chats up, unfortunately.
Is a holster
What's going on?
containing the gun found
Might be my connection.
on Chad's belt. There was a holster, and once again, you're going to see photographs
Yeah, he
of
was
these.
going to the gun range.
There was a holster that was found on Chad's right hip. In that holster was a gun. Well, you're going to hear testimony and evidence that Chad is right-handed. The evidence is going to show that everything that Chad did was right-handed. The holstered gun was placed on Chad's hip backward for a right-handed shooter. This is a toy gun. That holster was on his right side, and it was like this.
An idiot.
Additionally, a spot of blood was found on Chad's pants underneath the holster, and I emphasize underneath the holster. The significance of that is obvious, but it will be explained during closing arguments. And the medical examiner is going to testify. The medical examiner is going to tell you that all 4 of those shots, including the one that killed Cody, was not a close range shot. It was not a close range shot. It was from a distance. If a person's going to kill themselves, it's going to be closer, and you're going to get the powder burns on the head. The medical examiner is going to tell you that these are not close range shots. Cody did not kill himself. It was not a suicide. Now, regarding the positions of Chad's and Cody's body when they were found versus the position of their bodies when they were shot, they were moved. And let me explain to you why the evidence is going to show that. In addition to the back right ear, the shot to the Chad's back right ear, Chad was also shot in the back of the head. That went right through his head. You're going to see the damage that was done to the kitchen tile when the bullet went through his head and struck the kitchen tile. Chad's body was found on his back, and it was found 2 feet, maybe 3 feet to the left of the damage to the tile made by that bullet that went through the back of his head and into the tile in the kitchen. He was flipped over on his back. after he was shot in the back of the head while he was laying face down on the tile. The medical examiner is going to tell you that bullet went through the back of his head, and you're going to see the damage to the tile. So he was face down when that bullet went through his head, and then he was flipped over, and you'll see the damage to the tile. You'll see the position of his body on the back with that holster in the reverse position on the right side. And you'll see that his body is to the side of the damage done to the tile by the bullet that went through his head. So he was flipped over. You'll also see from the evidence that Cody's body was not in its original position when he was discovered by deputies Moterson and Matre. He was shot, clearly he was shot, that you'll see from the evidence, and went down at that garage slash, house door where the garage connects into the house. But you'll see from the evidence that while his body was found at that threshold, it was moved a foot or two from where he fell. You'll see from the photographs.
Hey, Deb.
And a discussion of those photographs during closing argument, why it's very apparent and evident that his body was moved. And finally, with respect to Cody's body, you'll see from the evidence that when Cody was shot, that door that leads from the house into the garage, it was open. Yet you'll see when the deputies arrived, and you'll see this in the body cam.
Oh, I got my chat
body
back.
camera video. When the deputies arrived, that door was closed when they discovered Cody's body.
My chat is back. Yay.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the evidence with you that shows that the defendant in this case, Grant Amato, was in that house for hours with the dead bodies of
Jesus.
Margaret, Chad, and Cody. Grant Amato was in that house with the dead bodies of his mother, father, and brother for at least 2.5 hours. You're going to see evidence that puts him in the house probably longer. But for at least 2.5 hours, he was in that house with those 3 dead bodies. Once again, remember, Cody was the last one to die. Cody passed through that Dean Road toll plaza on his way home at 9:36 p.m., and he arrived at his home shortly thereafter. You'll see from a map that the house at Chulio is not that far from that toll plaza.
Chulio.
Cody walks into his house and through the threshold of that door approximately 10 p.m. You'll see that he still has his work scrubs on. You'll see that he still has his badge, his work badge that's on his chest. So he's clearly coming home from work. Grant Amato's car, a few days later, was searched. Grant Amato was located on January 26th. Now, this is all to show you how we put him in that house for at least 2.5 hours with the 3 dead bodies. Grant Amato was located on January 26th, just 2 days after the murders. A search of his car was conducted.
Crazy.
And in his car, his pants were found. And in his pants was a flash drive. Transferred onto that flash drive were the contents, the data of a computer that was located in Grant Amato's room at 2112 Sultan Circle. And most critically, after the data was transferred, you unplug the flash drive from the computer. That flash drive was unplugged from that computer at 12:27 a.m. Friday, January 25th. The defendant was in that house at least until 12:27 a.m. As I said, there's going to be evidence presented to you that puts him in there longer. But he was in that house until at least 12:27 a.m. the following morning, January 25th. At 12:08 a.m. on January 25th, more than 6 hours after he kills his father, Chad, he, the defendant, accesses his father's USA bank account using his dead father's iPhone.
No, she did not.
At
Yeah, it's
12:08 a.m.
little drabby.
on January 25th, 2019, Chad's iPhone, his iPhone
No,
USA application was accessed to add an account on for funds transfer. You access your account and you can add on to that account another fund to which you can transfer money. Well, at 12:08 on January 25th, Chad's iPhone, was accessed. His USA bank account app was accessed to add an account for funds transfer. The account that was added for funds transfer was the defendant's PNC bank checking account. The defendant was in Chad's USA app for 12 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, essentially had nothing to really. I mean, the money was going to her, but she didn't know what he did. She had no clue of what he did. So, I mean, and she's in Bulgaria too, so I don't even know how the hell that would all work. But she essentially didn't make him talk faster. I can speed him up. You want me to put him in double speed?
You'll see that through the forensic examination of Chad's iPhone.
That better?
Was done by the Seminole County Sheriff's Office, and through the USAA and PNC bank records.
Sounds almost normal. We can do it this
You'll
way.
see Chad's bank records from USAA, and you'll see the defendant's bank records from PNC. And you'll see that an account was added for funds transfer onto Chad's USAA account. Once again, that was done hours after Chad's murder. Now, on January 26th, when the defendant was located, he agreed to give an interview with the Seminole County Sheriff's Office investigators in this case. And to be sure, and you'll see it during that interview, he denies responsibility for hurting his family. In that interview with the police that was conducted on January 26th, the defendant admits to being home all day with his mother. He also
Thank you for the
admits
$5. Appreciate you.
to being home when his father, Chad,
Great cash, homie.
gets home. The defendant says that this occurred 5:30, 5:45 in the evening
Great
on
cash,
January
homie.
24th, 2019.
Oh no, it's on loop.
And he also admits to being home when Cody got home. Grant Amato, the defendant, says that occurred at around 10:30 in the evening. By the way, after lying to the police that he met Cody down the road or down the street from that house.
Liar.
And he also admits during that interview going onto his computer to back up some stuff, and that's his words, to back up some stuff onto flash drives. And remember that that flash drive was unplugged from his computer at 12:27 a.m.
It does almost sound like he's normal.
that early Friday morning.
Let's look how it was
Not
before.
once during that police interview, remember, it's about 4 hours long. Not once did that police interview did he ask about his family or ask them why he was there and why they were talking to him and questioning him. Immediately after being interviewed by the lead investigator in the case, Danny Anderson, and Danny Anderson is going to testify in this case, the defendant's brother, Jason Amato, is allowed into the interview room and has a conversation with the defendant. During that conversation, the defendant claims that he had nothing to do with hurting his family.
Actually, it's not that bad.
But when Jason indirectly, and at one point, and you'll see it pretty much directly, accuses him of being responsible for the family's death, the defendant doesn't deny it.
It's pretty good.
He was home alone with his mother all day when the last human activity occurs on a computer. He was home when his father, Chad, arrives home from work. And he was home when his brother, Cody, arrives home from work, all by his own admission.
It's pretty good.
And in order to kind of set the stage for his murder-suicide story, when he's asked by one of the investigators, he's asked this question: what do you think happened to bring law enforcement?
I get it. It is. It's a
The
little
defendant, unprompted, his answer was that there was a shooting between Cody and my dad. And when asked why, his response was, Cody was protecting me or helping me or something with me. To give the appearance of a murder-suicide, the defendant on some other occasion fired 4 shots from Cody's gun, and you'll see that they had guns in the house. He was familiar with guns. You'll see that from the evidence. Actually all 3, Grant, Amato, Cody, and Chad. To give the appearance of that murder-suicide, the defendant on some other occasion fired 4 shots from Cody's gun, collected the shell casings, and then placed them throughout the house. After killing his mother, father, and brother with another gun, he plants those 4 shell casings in the vicinity of each body, and then he places the gun that matches those shell casings near Cody. Cody's gun did not kill them, did not kill Margaret, Chad, nor himself. Once again, those 4 bullets, those 4 projectiles that were recovered were excluded from having been fired from that gun that was found near Cody. And to further that contrived murder-suicide scenario, he places that holstered gun on Chad's right side. But once again, you'll see that it's placed in a position that would not be appropriate for a right-handed person and a right-handed shooter.
Guy's a moron.
And once again, you'll see that it was placed there after the shooting.
Exactly.
Underneath that holster.
It's not bad this way. It doesn't sound bad either. It's pretty good. It's a good idea.
The gloves. There are gloves in this case.
OJ.
The defendant was located at a hotel in Orlando on January 26th, as I mentioned, just 2 days after the murder. Found in that hotel, among other items in possession of the defendant, were a pair of black leather gloves. You'll see that these are not what are called range gloves, kind of gloves that you would use at a shooting range. They're not those kind of gloves. These are just regular cold weather, black leather gloves. On the outside of those gloves is gunshot residue. On the outside of the gloves, gunshot residue. On the inside of the gloves, on the cuffs of the gloves, is what is called wearer DNA. the defendant's DNA.
All right, let's go back. I want to actually rewind that, and we need to listen to that. Now, keep in mind, what have we been talking about? Touch DNA. What case? Type it in the chat. What case have we been talking about? Touch DNA on a knife sheath. Type it in the chat. Let's listen.
Their gloves. On the outside of those gloves is gunshot residue.
What was on the inside? Exactly.
On the outside of the gloves, gunshot residue.
Exactly. You got it.
On the inside of the gloves, on the cuffs of the gloves, is what is called wearer DNA.
There you
The
go.
defendant's DNA.
There you go.
Gunshot residue on the outside of those gloves, the defendant's DNA on the inside,
Got
of the
ya.
cuffs on the inside. A 1 in 700 billion chance it's someone else's DNA.
There
And you're
you
going to see
go.
other evidence in this case that puts those
What'd they say? 1 in how many? It's back.
DNA on the inside, and the cuffs on the inside.
Can we just stifle all the bullshit surrounding touch DNA tonight? Because I'm getting tired about how everybody's like, oh, it's going to be a nothing burger in this case. Well, in Idaho, I mean, it's going to be a nothing burger in this case. They had fucking touch DNA in this case, and they convicted this guy. Come on, guys. And those gloves were probably off his body for a good 48 hours, right? So all this thing about how touch DNA breaks down and blah, 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 blah. Well, for Christ's sakes, this guy shot a gun with the gloves, then took them off and probably put them inside a bag. They weren't sealed. They were probably thrown in like a gym bag or whatever they said. They found them in the hotel room. I don't know. They found touch DNA in this case.
A 1 in 700 billion chance it's someone else's DNA.
100 billion. And I'm going to say an octillion is probably bigger than a billion. I'm almost certain that it is. Octillion.
Now, you're going to see other evidence in this case that puts those gloves on Frank Amato's hands. In December of 2018, he went on a trip to Japan.
Yeah.
He went with his brother Cody and a friend by the name of Jericho Fine. Jericho Fine is going to testify in this case. And he will identify those gloves as appearing to be the same gloves that were found in the hotel room with Frank Amato that had the gunshot residue on the outside and the DNA on the inside, his DNA on the inside. And you'll see photographs of them in Japan. And those photographs will include photographs of Grant Amato wearing gloves that appear to be those same gloves. I'll also note that when the defendant was interviewed by the sheriff's office on January 26th, he completely divorced himself from all guns.
Oh, Maggie, you're coming up with all the stories tonight. You want to hear another quick story? Want to hear another quick story? 1995, just as the OJ trial, just as like OJ Simpson is starting to come. What year did they start? What year was? Yeah, 95, January 1995. My mom, we were living in North Attleboro at the time. My mom had a live-in boyfriend. Guy was a piece of shit. Alcoholic, lost his license, drinking, driving. My mom was getting up every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, actually 4 or 4:30 in the morning, driving him all the way an hour up to work, drop him off, come all the way back. She would work her shift, go all the way back up at 6 o'clock at night and pick him up and come all the way back home, right? Did that for like 2 years, right? Finally got sick of him in 1995. Kicked him out. Guy racked up shitloads of bills, our gas bill, water bill, all that shit. Just left. No money, nothing. Just left. Kicked him out. Let's see. 2 months later, he fucking walks into walks into a liquor store. He's doing laundry, walks in the liquor store, his last dollar bill, puts it down, says, "Give me a Powerball quick pick." The next day he wins 31 million fucking dollars. $31 million. That's as close as I probably will ever get to winning the Powerball. And then ultimately tried coming back looking for my mom. My mom was working that day. She ran into him like a couple weeks later at some restaurant. And he's like, "Oh, hey, come out to my car." Fucking wrote her a check for $5,000. $5,000 out of 31 million he gave my mom. Fucking motherfucker. And he's an idiot too, because he took the yearly payout. You never take the yearly payout, you dumb fuck. You take the money up front and just pay the taxes. And I think he got his last payout in, it was 20 years. So let's say 95 plus 20 years is what? Yeah, 2015 was his last payout. I think he was getting just under 800,000 every year after taxes, because it was a million, or I don't know, over a million was 20-year payout, and just after taxes it was just either between 800 and a million. And he's fucking broke now, dead fucking broke. He moved down to Florida, ended up meeting some really young girl. She fucking moved in with him. 4 years he put her through college. The day of graduation, she fucking left him, said thanks for the college education.
I got rid of all of my guns a while ago. And we can confirm that, because you're also going to see evidence that in August of 2018, on 2 separate occasions, you'll see the records from the Florida Gun Exchange in Ormond Beach, that Grant Amato sold them a significant number of guns, both handguns and rifles. So he completely divorced himself from firearms, completely separated himself from them. But yet you have the gunshot record.
Here. Right here. Cranston man hits Powerball right here. 1995, August of 95. Yep. Tim Payne traded driving a big rig, driving golf balls as a winner. It's $31 million. Powerball jackpot winner, buying a golf course and building a home overlooking the rolling hills. Well, that never fucking happened, I can tell you that. But there it is. That's the story. Yep. That motherfucker. Fucking piece of shit.
Residue of the DNA on those black loads. But why? What was his motive? Why did he kill his family? The answer to that question lies
that fucking
and will be found across the ocean in Bulgaria and a woman named Silvie, if that's her real name.
I literally would be a full-time fucking YouTuber. I would be a full-time YouTuber. I would have like the craziest studio. I'd have like the sickest podcast.
Grant Amato was and is obsessed with this woman. Silvie is an internet cam model. I put quotation marks around the word model, working from Bulgaria. The defendant, Grant Amato, became addicted to her, consumed with her, possessed by her, to the point that he was spending hundreds of thousands of dollars of the family's money on her. Hundreds of thousands of dollars to, quote, be with her on her internet website. And he presented to her a persona that was not who he really was. A professional gamer, owned his own home, drove a BMW. That's what the persona was that he presented himself to her. And when his parents found out about his, quote, relationship with Silvie and the tremendous amounts of money that he was spending on her, they contacted her and they let her know the lies that he was telling her and who he really was. And that effectively ended his relationship with Silvie. Silvie now knew that Tiernan Amato was not a professional gamer, did not own his own house, did not drive a BMW.
Those damn BMW drivers.
And to Tiernan Amato, that was the end of the world. There was nothing to live for. And he was furious with his family for ending his world, his life as he believed it to exist. But how do we know this? How do we know that? Well, Tiernan Amato told us this. On January 22nd, 2019, just 2 days before the murder, before murdering his family, Tiernan Amato typed an 8-page letter on his computer to 6 other men that were in that internet virtual room that interacted with Silvie. Jim, Josh, Ian, Sven, Frank, and Wolf. In the letter, which I expect that you're going to see, the defendant details his obsession with Silvie, the lies he told her and told the group, and his contempt for his family for revealing to Silvie that he was not who he portrayed himself to be. And how life, as he knows it, is over, that Silvie now knows that he's...
I just want to make sure that, listen, I know we're speeding this up, I just want to pay respect to the victims in this case. I'm not trying to make any type of mockery out of it. We're just trying to do this to save some time because these are long opening statements and long, days in court. So some of them we may speed them up a little bit, but it's not any disrespect to the victims, of course. And it's just in the interest of time. So
not who he put himself out to be.
Not trying to make a mockery of the court. Absolutely not.
The letter contains the following, and it's typed on his computer 2 days before murdering his family. I lied to her and you guys from the beginning about myself. I'm not a professional gamer, did not own my own house, and did not drive a BMW. I felt intimidated from the onset of the room environment and felt like I had to be something far more unique than I was. My family found out about her, the website, and all the money I had been spending on everything. They would not have this and subsequently ambushed, put quotation marks around the ambush. They would not, that he did, Tiernan Amato, they would not have this and subsequently ambushed me where I was staying and forcefully signed me into a clinic in Fort Lauderdale here in Florida.
Excuse me.
The clinic's name was Cornerstone, if anyone was interested. This was an addiction clinic. They felt that I had an unhealthy addiction because of the type of profession Silvie has and the quantity of money that I had spent in the span of 6 months that I had known her. I was not allowed to leave the clinic, while I was there, I was not allowed to access to the internet. I did not have access to my phone. I did not have access to my computer. I was admitted in there until I was able to convince my family that I was fine and able to be released on January 9th. By this time, the damage was done. My family had hacked my computer at home, gained access to my phone records, and all my personal things related to Silvie. They then took it upon themselves to lie to her about so many things related to me, which in turn led her to believe me even less. After I finally came clean to her about the lies I told you above. I should mention the stipulation for me to be released from the clinic was to go along with the lies my family had told her to poison my image that much more. While Silvie says that the reason why she can't forgive me is solely because of what I did, I can't help but feel that it is all part of it. Further, in this 8-page typed out letter, he says, I will never be able to forgive myself for making Silvie sad and betraying her trust in me. I care for her deeply and wish for an actual second chance with her in the room. I am willing to do whatever it takes to be able to show the real, with quotation marks around the real me to anyone and to build a relationship that doesn't involve lies. Everything between me and Silvie grew so fast. I hate myself for what I did, and I hate the thought of never getting to be with her again. After everything that I gave and everything that I tried to do with her, I just can't comprehend being without her. I am unable to function normally without her. Not hearing her good mornings or good nights, not talking to her for hours a day, not being a part of her room and her life outside of it. It's the most painful experience I've ever been through, and I will never get out of it. I will never get over her, and I never plan to simply replace her with the next one. I truly love this woman at first sight, and I fell in love with her over the months that I got to know everything about her. She never believed that you could love someone so fast, but I did. I was part of everything to do with her, and now I'm reduced down to only being able to send her DM direct messages on her public Twitter. No private Twitter, no phone number, nothing. I send her messages every day, and I rarely get a response from her. Seeing her be able to be so happy without me in her life is something I hope you guys never have to live through. It's a feeling that makes you wish you did not exist in this world. It's a feeling that rips your heart out and makes you realize how pointless everything is without her. It makes you give up on life, as I have without her. I don't think you guys would ever be as stupid as I was, but don't ever lose her. Don't ever do anything against her. And towards the end of that 8-page typed out letter, he says, I can't give up on her, and I will never, and the word never in capital letters, never go to someone else. She is my everything, and I will give her my life to simply be able to make her smile again. Don't ever lose her, guys. She is someone that you will never forget and never want to forget, no matter how painful. I hope I can be with her again. I'm sorry for what I did to her and to you. I'm truly sorry. Tiernan Amato was so obsessed with this woman. You're going to see from the evidence in this case. At 2:53 a.m. on January 25th, after leaving the house that contained the 3 dead bodies of his family, the defendant goes to a nearby Publix parking lot, logs onto their Wi-Fi, and uses his dead brother's USA checking account to pay $599.99 to get onto Silvie's website at 3:02 in the morning. That's how obsessed he was with that woman. That's what this case is about. It's about his blind obsession with this woman, the end of the world, as he believed it to be because of his family, and his absolute contempt for those that he held responsible. That's what this case is about. Thank you.
All right, let's hear the defense's response. It's only 20 minutes, and that's going to wrap up the stream for this evening. Tomorrow night, I'm going to come back and I'm going to read the PCA in the Long Island serial killer case. And then later this week, we'll go in and do some Idaho stuff. I think there was some new documents dropped, stuff like that we can get through. So before everybody heads out, we're going to go over the 20-minute response from the defense. And I'm going to drop the link for tomorrow night's stream. If you want to come over and hang out, we're going to do the Long Island serial killer. That would be at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, I'm just trying to charge through as much as I can, get as much streaming as I can as possible. I will be off Thursday and Friday this week. I think I'm going to do double duty on both days. I want to get to 10,000 subscribers. It's weird. I went up about 6 subscribers and I lost about 6 subscribers today. So I'm at about 77.99. I was at like 78.05. I don't know what happened, but anyway, doesn't matter. We're going to get there. We're going to get to that. So let's play through this, the defense's response or opening statement. And I'll do a little double time on this one too. I'm not sure how fast this guy talks, but
all right, at this time, is the defense ready to proceed?
Yes, Judge, but before that, I'm going to vote the rule sequestration.
All right, are there any witnesses present in the courtroom?
Yes, can we approach, please, Your Honor?
You may. The witnesses, I'm told there are 2 potential witnesses who are in the courtroom. At this point, the rule of sequestration has been invoked. You need to step out. All right, you may proceed with your
Your Honor, we can Ms. Silvia Ventsislavova back into the courtroom.
as to the opening.
Yes, he'll be right there. Thank you.
At this point, I think the defense can start to proceed, and if he comes in during the course of it, that would be fine. All right, you may proceed, Mr. Chair.
May it please the court. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for your time and attention. Really appreciate it. Now,
Hello.
the most important concept of this case is a statement I'm going to go over for you right now. That statement is, if not Grant Amato, then who did this? Now, however, what I want to make clear is that that argument is not legally sufficient to convict Mr. Amato of murder. That is the most important concept in this case. If not him, then who?
He looks really
It's not
nervous.
legally sufficient to convict Mr. Amato of murder. Now, your legal duty as the jury in this case is to determine whether the state has proven that Mr. Amato is guilty of committing these murders beyond a reasonable doubt. Your legal duty is not, however, to determine exactly what happened in the Amato household between January 24th and January 25th, 2019. These are two separate questions. But your legal duty in this case is to determine
Hey,
whether
I'm bald and I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Shave your head. It's all how you wear yourself. If you are bald and you carry yourself with confidence, women will like you no matter what. But this shit with guys thinking that they have to go out and get these fucking surgeries or put shit on their head to grow their hair back. Just shave your head, bro. Just shave your head, get with it, and have confidence. And chicks will still like you. I see all these fucking ads with like, rub this in your head and put this here and this and that. Just shave your head, bro. Some of the most sexiest guys in Hollywood that all these magazines say are fucking bald. The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, whatever, Bruce Willis, you know, what they say, all those, you know, the women go crazy for all those fucking Jason Statham, you know, just shave your head, bro. It's okay. Just fucking shave your head.
the state has met its burden to
I don't
prove
give a
Mr. Amato's
fuck.
guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
I ain't got no
Mr.
one.
Amato is
Fucking,
not guilty
I have no one to
because the
impress
evidence will show
anymore.
these three most important facts in the case. Fact number one, a complete lack of physical evidence linking Mr. Amato to the deaths of his parents and brother. Fact number two, Mr. Amato had no firearm with which to commit these murders because he had sold all of his guns and had no access to any other guns
This
that
is
may
the
have been
route
in
they're
the
gonna
residence.
go.
And fact number three, police, when they entered the home of the Amato family, found a nefarious combination of drugs, guns, and ammunition. The evidence will show that there is a complete lack of physical evidence linking Mr. Amato to these deaths. The evidence will show that his family member's DNA is not on any items that were recovered from Mr. Amato. That includes his clothing.
Keep that in mind. You know, everybody's going to say, well, what about the victim's DNA in Idaho? It's not on him. It's not in his car. This guy still was convicted. So keep that in mind. If that does happen in Idaho, which I don't think it's going to. I think they're going to find shit in the car. But
The state tested Grant's scrubs and shoes to see if his family member's DNA was on them, and none of his family member's DNA was found on his scrubs or shoes. There is no evidence whatsoever of a cleaned up crime scene. No blood, no bloody footprints, no bleaching, no evidence of cleanup whatsoever. The evidence will show that Mr. Amato's DNA is not found on items belonging to his family members. The evidence will show that the state tested items found on Chad for Grant's DNA and found none. These items included Chad's belt that he was wearing, that was referenced earlier, the holster that was found on Chad, that was referenced earlier, and Chad's card holder. Once again, no DNA on any of those items, none of Grant's, and they were tested for such. Now, the evidence will also show that the shell casings from the fired bullets that were found at the house were also tested for Grant's DNA. The evidence will show once again that Grant cannot be linked to these shell casings because the DNA was not found on them and DNA tests were performed on these shell casings.
hey, real quick, I just want to stop this before we go on. If you're not, I don't know if you all follow JRL. I mean, I like him. I happen to like a lot of his videos lately. He's in Idaho right now doing a lot of reporting. He was over at the King Road house today. He's got some new video of it. That's definitely something I would encourage everybody to go over and take a look at. I played some of his videos, last night on the stream or 2 nights ago. It was really, really helpful in our presentation. So, all right, let's get through this and then wrap this
Now, the
puppy up.
state earlier had mentioned something about gunshot residue, and this is going to come up in the case. The evidence will show that gunshot residue testing was performed on the gloves that were found in the hotel room of Mr. Amato. Now, what's important about this testing, the evidence will show a low particle count. Now, the evidence will show what a low particle count means and why that's significant. The reason why that's significant, and the evidence will show this, is because it's more likely to obtain a low particle count from transfer than from holding an actual firearm. The evidence will show exactly what transfer means, but basically it means sitting on a surface or coming from a surface that had gunshot residue on it. And the low particle count, the evidence will show that that is how this occurred, based on transferred gunshot residue and not the holding of an actual firearm that was fired.
Sorry
The
to
evidence
hear
will show
about
that
your
Margaret
husband,
Amato, Chad Amato, and Cody Amato were all killed with a firearm, as the state had described earlier. The evidence will show that Grant Amato previously owned firearms, and that is something that we are in agreement about. However, the evidence will show that Mr. Amato sold all of these firearms in August and September of 2018. The evidence will show records of Mr. Amato selling 7 of his guns to the Florida Gun Exchange on August 21st of 2018. The evidence will show that Mr. Amato is selling 2 of his guns to the Florida Gun Exchange on August 24th of 2018. The evidence will show, finally, that Mr. Amato sold his final 2 firearms, a 9mm pistol and his shotgun, to Florida Gun and Pawn on September 23rd of 2018, and this evidence will be presented by third party, meaning we'll have a witness to show this. The evidence will show that Mr. Amato sold these firearms in order to continue being able to afford to remain in contact with Silvie. The evidence will show that he sold all of his firearms in order to maintain this contact and being able to afford to do so. The evidence will show at this time that Grant Amato owned no more guns and therefore could not have killed his parents because he had no guns with which to do so. In addition, the evidence will show that there were still guns in the home, but one was Cody's 9mm pistol and the others were locked up in Chad's bedroom. The evidence will show that Cody's 9mm pistol was his carry pistol that he took with him when he left the home. Cody would take this pistol to work, and therefore Mr. Amato had no access to this pistol at the time Cody, Margaret, and Chad had died. Also, the evidence will show that any additional firearms that were in the house were locked up in Chad's bedroom, safe, and closet. The closet was actually locked at the time the police entered the Amato home on January 25th of 2019. The evidence will show that not only did Mr. Amato sell all of his guns, but that he had no access to the guns that were left over in the home. The evidence will show that this is one of the main reasons Mr. Amato could not have shot his parents, because he had no gun with which to do so. In addition, the evidence will show that Mr. Amato is no professional shooter and has no training whatsoever in using a pistol. This is important because he would be incapable of committing these murders all at this time, with this frequency and this short amount of time, without such training. The evidence will show that when police entered the Amato home on January 25th of 2019, they found a nefarious combination of drugs, guns, and ammunition. The evidence will show that the master bedroom's connected bathroom, police found a large armoire that had been designed in a sophisticated way in order to produce significant amounts of marijuana. In addition, the evidence will show in the master bedroom locked closet, police found 3 mason jars full of marijuana that each had temperature gauges in them. Additional marijuana was also found in the bathroom connected to the master bedroom. The evidence will show the police also found several rifles locked in the closet, along with cans and cans of ammunition. Furthermore, the evidence will show that a Glock pistol was found in a holster, as the state had described earlier, on Chad Amato's body, and Cody's Smith & Wesson 9mm that he carried with him was found next to Cody's body. The evidence will show that Mr. Amato is not guilty because, to summarize, once again, number 1, no physical evidence linking him. Number 2, no gun with which to use it. And number 3, the nefarious amount of drugs, guns, and ammunition found in the house. But also, there are additional significant pieces of evidence that will come out and that the evidence will show. That information is as follows. We expect the state to construct a timeline of what they believed happened in the case, which is something the state had mentioned earlier. However, the state will not be able to show medical evidence as the time of death. That is an important part. The defense expects the evidence to show how multiple pieces of digital evidence disprove the state's timeline in this case. The evidence will show that Chad Amato used his fingerprint on his iPhone to access his USAA banking application on 11:08 p.m. on January 24th, 2019, which is later than the state believes he was alive. You will see photographs of the body of Chad Amato. In those photographs, it will be clear as to why he could not have accessed, as a dead person, his phone using his fingerprint application after death, and why his body could not have been manipulated to do so. Furthermore, the evidence will show that Chad Amato used his iPhone to delete an application called Blink at 12:31 a.m. on January 25th of 2019, which is also later than the state believes that Chad Amato was alive. The evidence will show that Chad was told a week prior to his death to delete the Blink application by Cody. This is how the evidence will show that Chad Amato was the one who deleted the application at 12:31 a.m. on January 25th of 2019. This is how the evidence will show that Chad Amato was actually alive at 12:31 a.m. on January 25th of 2019. Also, there is a neighbor from the Sultan Circle area named Rodney Funk, who will specifically remember hearing gunshots in the direction of the Amato home on the morning of January 25th of 2019. The evidence will show that these critical pieces of evidence will disprove the state's timeline of events in this case, which further supports Mr. Amato's innocence in the case. Also, when the police arrived to the Amato home, they actually entered the home. And what's important, when the state had described the lack of forced entry, the police in the case, when they had entered the home, also created no sign of forced entry. So when they entered the home, using a pocket knife caused no damage to the exterior of the home. So there are similarities in that after the police entered the home, they left no sign of forced entry. And when they had looked at the home initially, there was no sign of forced entry. Furthermore, they found wet blood around Cody Amato, and they found wet blood around Chad Amato. Evidence that also supports Mr. Amato's innocence is that he had no motive whatsoever to kill his family members. The evidence will show that the relation between Mr. Amato and his parents and brother will show a clear lack of motive. There was absolutely no friction between Mr. Amato and his mother, Margaret. The two were close, and she supported Grant to an incredible degree financially, along with
Got a $4.99 super chat. Just Veronica says, happy to stumbled upon you. Well, we're happy for you to be here. You know, I don't do I've been kind of peeling back on, you know, my audience knows. You know, I've been peeling back on the Idaho streams. When I do an Idaho stream, I usually have a pretty slamming panel of guests, and you know, we'll get 400 to 600 people in here on some nights, but you know, you got to do other stuff. We got to do other content here, you know, and I still say this. I think it's a shame that people are missing out on this, because the smaller streams are some of the better streams that we have. And for, you know, the 20 or so people that are in here this evening, this is a real commitment to the channel. They really care about what's going on over here. And, you know, like I said, I think some of the better stuff, you know, from the audience, some of the conversations we have come out better on some of these smaller streams. So I say it to my subscribers, you all are missing out. You know, just because it doesn't say Idaho in the title doesn't mean that it's great it's not great content, because we have a lot of fun over here. We do. All right, let's get through the rest of this and then wrap this puppy up for the night.
with Chad Amato as well.
Thank
The
you.
evidence will show that Cody Amato and Grant Amato were inseparably close, and that even Cody took care of Grant financially to a significant degree. Cody even paid for a lavish trip to Japan, something that the state had mentioned earlier, that included Grant and their mutual friend Jericho Fine. The evidence will show that Cody paid for Grant's entire portion of the trip back in December of 2018, which was a month prior to Cody's death. The evidence will show that whenever Mr. Amato had an issue, Mr. Amato in this portion being Grant, that required monetary support, he received it from his father, mother, and brother. The evidence will show that Chad and Cody gave Grant their bank cards to make sure that Grant had monetary support. The evidence will show that Grant always had the support, and that there was no motive whatsoever to kill his brother, his mother, and his father. The evidence will show, and you all will hear Grant's description of his actions on January 25th and 24th.
You know, my real goal is this. You know, I get it. The Idaho stuff, you know, we'll get 400 to 600 people. I think my biggest live was almost 700 people one night on the Idaho stuff. My goal is this. If I can get at least 100 people in the room every single night, no matter what stream I'm doing, I think that would be a great goal to reach for. But that all needs, you know, everybody's participation in this. If there's something that I'm doing, a particular subject that you don't like, you all have to let me know, because I'm making content for you as the subscriber. I'm not doing this because, you know, I come up with an idea, but if the idea is not working and this is something that you don't want to see, you got to let me know in the comments. You know, you got to let me know. We can just move on. We don't have to do this, but I'm just trying to do something different, something that is non-Idaho. And, you know, maybe we can get to learn a little bit about, you know, case law.
2019. Starting on January 24th, you all will hear that the evidence will show that Grant woke up on January 24th around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. He was home with his mom and saw his dad leave for work that morning. This was a normal work day for his mother, who worked from home. Grant watched content online on the first floor during the day that included materials having to do with video games and YouTube. Grant talked to his mom throughout the day and ate lunch between 12 and 1 p.m. Grant also took time during the day to prepare for a job interview that was scheduled for the following day on January 25th of 2019. The evidence will show that Grant had an interview lined up at a place called Express Scripts that was scheduled for the morning of January 25th. Grant made sure that on the 24th to go upstairs to his room, get his clothes and suit ready for this interview. Now, after preparing for this interview, Grant went back downstairs to the couch to watch YouTube. Around 4 p.m., Grant was watching YouTube and noticed his mother go to the kitchen, saw her put out pieces of chicken to defrost on the counter. He also saw his mom pour a glass of wine. He saw his mother take this glass of wine and go to the office. Grant then saw his dad arrive home at approximately 5:30, between 5:30 and 5:45 in the afternoon. The evidence will show at this time, Grant was in the living room watching television. Grant saw his dad take his lunchbox with him into the office to talk to his mother. After his dad and mom talked, his dad came into the living room and sat on the couch with his mom, who was still in the office. The evidence will show at this time that Chad accused Grant of having contact with a woman that Grant had met online, even though this was against rules set by his father. The evidence will show that Chad was asking Grant why he was still having contact with this person. At one point, Chad physically grabbed Grant by the thin jacket that he was wearing and told him that he had to pack up his things and leave the house. At this point, the evidence will show that Margaret is still in the office. Grant then grabbed his duffel bag upstairs and also grabbed his clothes, gloves, and toiletries. Something else that's really important the evidence will show in this case, that goes to the gloves. The evidence will show that on the night of January 24th, the temperature reached into the low 40s, so it was very cold that night for Florida standards. Chad went upstairs at this point arguing with Grant as he was packing up his things. At this point, Grant made clear that he needed his cell phone and car keys that Chad had kept from him.
Seems very nervous.
Then Grant and Chad went into the master bedroom, where Chad kept Grant's passport and car keys in the safe. When they were both in the bedroom together, the evidence will show that Chad told Grant that he would have to reset the safe passcode because Grant had been in the room while the safe had been opened. Then Chad went into his closet to retrieve Grant's cell phone and laptop and Grant's banking paperwork. Chad also gave Grant his credit cards and his car insurance information. At this point, the evidence will show that Grant went back upstairs to put his stuff into his duffel bag. Chad and Margaret were talking downstairs at this time. The evidence will show that Grant then went into Cody's room to retrieve flash drives that would allow him to reinstall programs to his laptop. After this, Grant then went downstairs with his stuff that he had packed up and went through the garage to put his duffel bag into the backseat of his car. Grant then went back into the house, back upstairs while his dad continued to speak to him. The evidence will show that Grant then grabbed his suit from his closet for his interview the next morning. Grant then
I mean, probably making notes on the file, or maybe might be answering emails, like stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, they work. They work through when they're in a trial.
grabbed some heavy coats and shoes because of the cold weather, and then he took them down to his car and
Thank
placed
you
them in
so
the trunk.
much.
After Grant put his clothes in the trunk of his car, he spoke to his dad on the driveway for about an hour and a half.
Love the smaller shows.
Grant then
always
went
fun.
back inside
Thank
and
you.
upstairs,
Appreciate
and
you.
at one point after Grant had returned upstairs, Chad came to talk to him and gave him a credit card for one night stay at a hotel. Grant then noticed that Cody had come home as he had saw headlights pull up to the home. Cody then came into the house and Grant saw Cody in the kitchen. Grant then left his dad and Cody as they were talking downstairs. Grant went upstairs to transfer files to his flash drive, something that the state had brought up earlier. Then Cody came into the room while Grant was transferring the files. At this time, Cody gave Grant his debit card for anything Grant needed to take care of himself while Cody tried to smooth things over. Grant made it clear to Cody that he didn't expect to be back to the house anytime soon. And the conversation ended with Cody and Grant talking both downstairs and walking out together as they talked to avoid Dad. Grant said goodbye to his mother. And when Grant went to his car, it was between about 12 and 12:30 in the morning. This is when the evidence will show that Grant went to his local Publix because he knew he could get onto the Wi-Fi there at the Publix in the parking lot. Grant eventually turned on his laptop and used the Publix Wi-Fi internet to get the address for his interview the next morning. Grant turned on his cell phone and confirmed that there was no service. Grant eventually slept in his car and left for his interview the next morning around 6:45, 7 in the morning. Grant got to the interview location in Lee Vista area between 7:45 and 8 in the morning, which was early for the interview.
How dare
Grant had his interview around 9:50 a.m., which lasted for about 45 minutes to an hour. You will hear evidence confirming Grant's attendance at this interview. There will be a third party, Erica Johansson, who conducted that interview that day, and she will be testifying in this case.
All right, let's give Christine one.
How dare you?
The evidence will then show that Grant drove back to the area where the Publix was because he knew there was a Verizon store there, so he could figure out how to get back onto having a working cell phone. This is January 25th. The evidence will show that Grant went into the Verizon store but was unable to get his phone back on because his father was the one on the account. Because his father wasn't present, he wasn't able to turn his phone back on. So after his time at the Verizon store, Grant at this time thought about going back to the house because he had checked his email earlier and had not received anything from Cody, his brother, yet, which he was surprised by. When Grant went to go by the house, he went down Lake Mills Road and saw a news van at the Fort Christmas Road intersection. Grant didn't turn down the Fort Christmas Road intersection after seeing the news van. Instead, Grant eventually went to a Panera at Waterford Lakes, where he brought on his laptop and used Google to try to find out why the news van was there. He saw something about shootings in Chuliota and that it was still under investigation. At this time, Grant had a bad feeling about it, but had no phone service, so he was not able to call his parents at that time or his brother.
Are you at 10,000? When are we going to do your 10,000 subscriber show? When the hell are we doing that? We're going to wrap this up in about 5. When are we doing your 10,000? Come on. What the hell's going on, man? We're going to get you there. I'm at 7,800 today. I'm going to start catching up. What if Oh no, what if I beat you before you beat me? Oh no, I'm catching up to you.
At this time, Grant checked into the Hilton in Orlando using his debit card
TV.
between 3 and 3:30 p.m. that day.
Do this.
Grant at this time was expecting to hear from Cody by email, which was what happened the last time that Grant had
I'm
left the
gonna
home to
catch
stay
you.
with his aunt.
I'm
When
catching
Grant was at the
you.
hotel, he logged onto his email and
Whoa,
still
you're
didn't see
so
anything from Cody.
close.
He didn't use the landline to call
I'm
them
gonna
because
catch
he didn't
you.
remember the last time he'd used a landline that night. And that night on January 25th, Grant watched YouTube and did speak to Silvie through Twitter that night. Now, before bed, Grant
She's only
went to bed. He wrote a note to himself on
241
hotel stationery.
away.
Grant then woke up at 8
Come
a.m. and when he
on,
went out
man.
of the hotel and started to leave his hotel room, he was detained by police.
Yeah,
Now,
it
at
was
this
a
time, the
friendly
evidence will
little
show
challenge.
that police did not tell him why they were
241.
detaining him. They gave him no information at
I'm gonna say by a week you're gonna be there. In a week.
that time about why they were talking to him and detaining him. He was not even told by Seminole County police officers who were there why that had occurred.
When you get to 10, we're gonna do a big celebration stream for you. When we get to 10, we'll get you. I'll come over and hang out. I'm so proud of you of what you've done. 10,000 subscribers when you get there, that's something to be really proud of. You've worked really, really hard. I've gone back and been watching a lot of your old videos, and you have come a long way on this platform. And the things that you're sharing, that you shared on your platform. If you all haven't seen, you need to go back and watch Tanya's older videos. Like, go back and hit that old, previous or oldest videos and listen to her story. It's pretty amazing. She's come a very, very long way. And she's been through a lot, like myself. And I was watching some of her older videos on my break at work today, and they were very touching. So go over and check her out. If you guys are on here and you haven't, go support Tanya. Let's get her to 10,000 subscribers. She's got a great channel, and she's really come in her own. She really found her spot, and that's pretty cool. We all kind of go through a journey on YouTube and have to find ourselves. It's funny. I was thinking today at work, like why we do this. Why do creators do this? Why do people watch? Honestly, I think we're all just searching for something. I think maybe as a creator, it's you're searching. I don't think for your life purpose, because I don't think that YouTube is a life purpose, but I think we're just, I don't know, maybe we use this to guide us through this point in time in life. It's interesting. Becomes part of us. You all become part of us. We know the names. I mean, Tanya knows the names. And you guys don't understand how important you all are to us. Believe me, we think about all of you. We know your stories from what you tell us in the chat. It's not all from, it's not about us. It's about you all, because if you didn't come into the lives and you didn't click on the videos to watch, we wouldn't be anything. We wouldn't be here in this space and time. I've done a lot of reflecting. I would love to do this full time. Absolutely. I would love to be a full-time YouTuber. It's going to take a lot of work, and it's probably going to be a couple of years, but maybe someday. You never know. Dreams do come true. Believe me. Dreams do come true. But it's never given to you. You got to work hard, and anything in life is possible. And I always say this, and you probably all sick of hearing me saying this, but I think one of the greatest quotes I've ever heard, and you may laugh, it's from a WWE wrestler or WWF wrestler at the time, the Ultimate Warrior. He always said, just because you're born, you have the potential. Just because you are born, you have the potential. You have the potential to be anything you want in this life. And it does have a lot to do with hard work, and there's a little bit of luck involved as well too. You know, I look at platforms like myself and Tanya, where we have some of the most craziest panels, the greatest information sharing, honesty. We care about the viewers that watch us. We care about the integrity that we hold to the utmost on these channels that we have. And I just don't get it. YouTube just does not serve in the algorithm to us. And it's very frustrating. I know it is for her. Believe me, she's 241 people away from being 10,000. And I'm sure it just feels like every fucking day for her is like a month. You want to get there. It's an accomplishment. But I don't get it. We all do similar content. I think we all have really great content. But some channels, for whatever it is, they get promoted a lot quicker and they just get that ride. And I don't get it. And I don't want to shit on people's channels, but I think that some of them couldn't even hold a candle to me or Titanium the way that we're rolling right now. I think we have some of the better true crime content out there right now. I'll stand by that. I'll say it. And some of these other channels that are just putting shit crap out and people just watch them for some fucking reason. And I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it, Tanya. You know, I'm not listen, I'm not calling out specific channels, but I don't get it. You know, it's like I looked at today, what's the guy? I'm not gonna shit on him because he has a great channel and he's funny. What is it? Penguin something. I forget his Penguin Zio. Okay. So he did he just recently did a thing about Zavgirl 2 days ago. 2 days ago, his video on Zavgirl that is not even titled has Zavgirl in it. It has 3 million views. And it's like I did 2 live streams on that and I don't even have a smidgen of that. And that's why I laugh, because I watch these other creators and I'm not going to shit on them either. And I think I know the theory behind it. But I watch like Robert Blake. I watch what's his name? Zimmerman. And they talk about, and I watch them a lot, and they talk about how to serve your channel, you know, to the public, how you help, you know, it's basically YouTube branding and building and stuff. And I always laugh because they always say that subscribers don't count. I think that's bullshit. I think that's an absolute bullshit tactic that I believe that they are just trying to tell people, because I think YouTube just wants people on the platform. As many people as you have on the platform creating videos and you're monetized, it's going to create ad revenue for them. So it continues to make YouTube money. I think the way that it works, and I'm glad that Tanya's in the room because she can listen to this if she doesn't get it. I think what I see when I look at the algorithm, the way it works is if I put a video out there, okay, so if I do a live stream, obviously you're all going to come over to the live. You're going to watch the live. But when it posts, it's not getting that push that it should. And when you have a video, it reaches beyond your audience. Now, the way your video gets pushed, and I'm a firm believer of this, is subscribers. If my subscribers don't come to that video first and give it that initial build and that hype, then the algorithm is going to say, no, we're not going to watch this. Case in point. I do an Idaho stream. That'll get 5 to 10,000 views and beyond. I got one that's 70,000. For some weird reason, the algorithm just loved that. But if I do like a Grant Amato stream and I upload that, my subscribers don't come to it, it's not going to get pushed. It's interesting. And I've been studying this for about 3 years now. And that goddamn algorithm changes all the time. All the time. but subscribers do count. And I don't like that these creators that create about what they do how to make your YouTube channel better. They always say subscribers don't count. They absolutely 100% count. Because if you didn't have subscribers and they didn't interact on your video, it would not get pushed out. It wouldn't get pushed out. So anyway, that's my YouTube lesson for tonight. Let's finish this. We're almost at 2 hours. We got another 5 minutes or so. I'm sorry I went off in a yeah, and this is the problem too, is that, you know, YouTube, their live notifications have been shit. 100% shit. And it's crazy how they promote some streams, and then there's crazy that some don't promote. It's shit. So shame on you, YouTube. Get with it. Help these smaller channels out. Stop pushing this big content, you know, these big creators. You know, there are great small creators out here that put out really good videos and really good lives, and we don't get supported enough. We don't get supported enough. I'm seeing some changes lately. I am seeing a lot of new people coming in, but they can push us harder. Believe me, they can push us harder. That's my rant.
At this time, Grant agreed to go to the station with the Seminole County police officers.
Oh, that's
He
good.
agreed to do
On
so
your
and let them know
homepage,
that.
that's good.
Grant was at the station for
Where I
7 hours
really should be.
giving an interview in this case. The evidence will show that during all of the time that police officers were questioning Grant throughout the day, they lied to Grant repeatedly about what evidence they claimed to have had against him. The officers told Grant provably false statements about what they claimed to know, and in the face of these provably false statements, the evidence will show that Grant denied all involvement in the deaths of his family. The evidence will show the emotion Grant has when he finds out what happened to his family. The evidence will show Grant crying in the interrogation room as he sat there by himself after finding out the deaths of his family members. The evidence will show that police officers released Grant after the interview because they did not have the evidence to support an arrest. The evidence will show that after 7 hours of time in the police station, Grant was released from the police station after consistently denying having anything to do with his parents and his brother's deaths. In summary,
and that's the thing though too. YouTube now has lowered the fucking standards. So you're gonna have more people on the platform. That tells me that a lot of people left the platform. That's why they did that. See, when Tanya and I got monetized, we had to have 1,000 subscribers. You know how fucking hard it is to get 1,000 subscribers? Holy shit, that's hard. And then you're gonna put 4,000 watch hours on. That's easy. I've already learned that, how to trick that. You just do lives, and then you get your watch time in. But if you're not, you can get all your watch hours in quickly. But if you don't have your subscribers, you fucking sit for months and months and months to get monetized. But now they've dropped it. It's now 500, which is bullshit, because you can get 500 literally probably in like a week, probably less than that. And then now it's 3,000 watch hours. So they're trying to get more people to the platform. I think they lost a lot of people to TikTok is what it is.
evidence will show that after his family members died and were deceased, Grant went to, or it was unclear about the time of death because you're not going to hear about the medical evidence at that point. But at least when he left the home, he went to a Publix. Then he went to the interview the morning of January 25th and stayed at a local hotel, making no attempt to leave the area. Grant then agreed to go to a police station for an interview that required his presence for 7 hours. And the evidence will show that afterwards he was released due to lack of evidence. Getting back to the most important things about this case, if not Grant, then who is not a legally sufficient argument to convict Mr. Amato in this case. Additionally, there is no physical evidence linking him. Mr. Amato had no gun with which to perform these murders, and a nefarious combination of drugs, guns, and ammunition was found in the house. Based on these facts, Mr. Amato is not guilty in this case, and accordingly, Mr. Amato had nothing to do with his parents and brother's deaths. Therefore, after all the evidence is shown in this case, we will request you all to return a verdict of not guilty. Thank you.
All right. That was the opening statements from the prosecution and the defense. You know, listen, if this is something y'all are interested in doing, you know, maybe we'll dedicate Monday nights to it. We'll do like a Monday night trial. We can go through some of these cases. You know, again, I'm just going to go on a little bit before I end here. And, you know, there's some really, really great creators out there that are just not getting pushed enough. And, you know, I think Tanya and I really appreciate all the new people that are found through the algorithm that come to our channel. But the most important thing for you all as subscribers is to come to those lives, because we're live performers. I can't shoot a fucking video worth a dinky dog. I'm terrible at it. When I sit and I'm like, fuck, I'm going to do that, or I didn't do a word, or I didn't say it right, or whatever. It takes me hours to film an 8-minute video. That's why I don't do them. That's why I usually, if I do a video, you must be like, holy shit, he really wanted to get that out there. Like when I did the, what was the first video I probably did in a year, or at least 6 months, which was actually pretty badass, I have to say. I enjoyed it. Was the video about that fucking scumbag. That scumbag trainer, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. The one that did all those awful things to the Olympic Dinky Dog. The Olympic athletes. What the hell is that guy's fucking name? Damn it. I can't remember off the top of my head. Slipped my head right now. Who's that scumbag? The gymnastics doctor. Yeah, that fucking scumbag. What's his name? Larry Nazar. Larry Nazar. That was a pretty damn good video. If you haven't seen that video, that was like the first one I've actually sat down and recorded for in 6 months. But you all should go over and check that out. It's pretty good. I added a little comedy in there. But listen, it's the live shows for me and Tanya are big. That's really what we rely on, because that's how we perform. And I always urge everybody, come over on these off Idaho streams. You guys are all missing out. It's still the same creator. And listen, Diane, if that's going to offend you, then I would just say unsubscribe, because it's 11 o'clock at night. It's not like you haven't heard those words before, believe me. And I don't say them very often. So if that's going to offend you, I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, we really rely on the live streams, and that's how we perform. That's how we bounce best off that. I mean, I know Tanya's probably a little bit better at recording videos than I am, but we really rely on the live stuff. So yeah, absolutely, everybody's here, but just because it doesn't say Idaho in the title doesn't mean that it's not going to be great. We do really good stuff. We do a lot of great off stuff. So I don't know. What else? Am I missing anything? Does anybody have any questions before I wrap it up? We've done a 2-hour powerhouse this evening. If anybody has any questions, drop them in there. I'll take some questions really quick before we go. We got a couple more minutes before we hit 2 hours. 2-hour banger tonight. You all hung in there. I love it. I'm going to come back tomorrow night. I'm going to do the PCA of the Long Island serial killer. We're going to get more into that as well. I think that's a topic of conversation that we need to get into. I'll drop that link for tomorrow night's show. If anybody has any questions they want, you can drop them in the chat before I go. If not, we're going to wrap this puppy up and put a bow on episode 25. A little out of order tonight. What did I say? Dinky Dog earlier? Dinky Dog? You like that? That was great. But no questions. You answered my question. Guess I'll catch the replay at work. Yeah. Hey, Ron. How are you, man? It was a banger. You answered my question. All right. Tanya, any questions? What's going on with you, Tanya? What do you got? You have any, if she's still in the room, are you doing any streams tomorrow? I'm going to come back at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to try to stream all week. I want to get this freaking 10,000 subscribers. I got to catch and beat Tanya. Jerry Springer. Dinky Dog. Yeah, everybody's going to get me on Dinky Dog now. I said Dinky Dog. Watch your mouth. Blech. I think that's it. It's nice to just hang out and chat here for a minute. We don't do that too often. All right, folks, I'm going to wrap this one up, get to bed, because I got another 10 to 8 shift tomorrow, and then another 10 to 8 shift tomorrow. But I am off Thursday and Friday, and I'm probably going to do double duty. Maybe I'll go over and hang out on Tanya's channel if she wants me over there. Just let me know. What can we do to help get you there besides subscribe? Hey, just keep sharing the content. Make sure you come to the lives and hang out. Give these lives thumbs up, because I'm going to tell you right now, the biggest thing in YouTube, and especially this algorithm, comments and thumbs up. Comments and thumbs up. That's the most important things. That's what I need out of everybody. Comments and thumbs up. That means comments after the video posts, even if it's just to say hi, whatever. That's what the algorithm is liking right now. I'm telling you, that's what the algorithm is liking. So if Tanya's still in the room, tell your subscribers, comments and thumbs up. That's the most important thing right now. That's what YouTube is pushing. All right, we're going to wrap this puppy up, put a bow on it, send this one into the bank, into the archives. Episode 25, Grant Amato, opening statements from the prosecution and defense. Appreciate you all being here. If you watch this on replay, hashtag replay in the comments. You know that I will download this and re-upload this. Try to get it a little bit more buzz. It's what we always do here, is the replays and the rewinds. And if you want to watch it, then you can. I appreciate everybody coming in the chat this evening, hanging out. I love all you all. You are the ones that make this globe spin, you know. And I appreciate all the super chats this evening too. We'll be back tomorrow night. We're going to do the Long Island serial killer and get a little bit into that case. And then maybe later this week, we'll do another powerhouse Idaho stream. I think there's been some new documents that have come out. And JRL is out there right now. And I'm sure he's going to have some new stuff. He was at the Idaho house today doing an update. So maybe we'll hear something there. All right, y'all. You be safe. Don't take any crap from anybody. I don't know why I said that. I just felt like saying it. But we'll give you a little one of these before we head out. All right, folks. Have a good night. Bye.